Today I bring you one of the more brain-dead decks you can play right now, which is what I call 7-up dragon, but I think most people just call it like big dragon or ramp dragon. Its concept's pretty simple. Most of your deck, as you can see, is 7 cost and above followers, and you're just trying to ramp up to play those and use Celestial Worm Guard, discount them, use your Relic Dragon to hopefully cheese out some big followers for 0 PP, and then just high roll or win the game with just spamming big followers. It's the concept of this deck. The cards that cost less than 7 are all just ramp cards. They're pretty standard. These are all ramp. Only one that's maybe a bit strange here is Silver Skill Sentry. This deck list is adapted from a Japanese pro players list, LVS Ryu. His list ran 3 Silver Skill Sentries, but I felt like they tend to be a little bit bricky in the early game, especially against Mysteria. So I'm running 1 Silver Skill Sentry, 2 Mermaid Commanders. This is just my personal preference. You can of course just stick to the original list of 3 skill sentries. You can even cut them out and put in all Mermaid Commanders, edit it how you want. But this is the list that I have been playing with, and I think it's not bad. It's pretty decent. It's actually quite fun to play. You just like sort of just slam big followers down and stare your opponent down with them. It's pretty neat. Of course, having an extremely expensive deck, both in terms of vials and in terms of cost of the cards, it's important to have your cheap early game plays like Drazael. You can accelerate 1. Lowly Dragon importantly helps you manage the early game pressure while drawing you more cards. Dormant Dragon, you can crystallize him early to get him out later in the game when you can actually play our 7 cost followers. So yeah, that is the list. It's a pretty straightforward list, so let's just jump into some gameplay. So our first match for today will be against everyone's favorite deck, Mysteria Rune, and we are going second. Starting is pretty simple. I like to keep ramp. Silver Skill Sentry is ramp, but against Mysteria it's very difficult to play it without dying, so I just toss the Silver Skill here. Against lower matchups you can of course keep the Silver Skill if you want. Irma is in a similar boat, but since she costs 2, you can at least play her along with other ramp cards. During this game I was still playing the original list with 3 Silver Skill Sentry, which is why you see multiple in my hand here. Here I toss down the Irma just to maintain, like sort of mitigate their early pressure. Now my plan is to use Irma here to reduce the pressure on board, which will allow me to play Silver Skill Sentry next turn with less health loss. And unfortunately they put the Greya behind the end here. If you don't know what this Greya does, it can attack twice when it evolves for 8 damage, which is very nasty. But unfortunately we have no way to clear it, so we are just going to ramp. Yeah, this deck, I mean, it's a ramp deck. You're supposed to be ramping for most of it. So here they evolve the Greya. We take a ton of damage here. And something fortunately trades, so it's not a ward anymore. We can of course use the Silver Skill Sentry to heal up here, and with a little bit more ramp we will be able to, Silver Skill Sentry here. I believe I played the Shrine here because I want the AoE spell to answer their board in case they put 1 up. The ramp here is of course making sure that I reach 10 PP next turn to have the full 10 PP to work with. That way I can play something like well, I'm probably going to play Degenerate Dragon instead. Your main game plan with this deck is generally to ramp into 10 PP and then stabilize with your big cards. So in this case I'm just going to try to stabilize with Degenerate Dragon. All that glitters heals for a lot, and then Voracious Venomoth will hopefully be able to stall them out quite a bit by increasing the cost of the cards in their hand. Of course Mysteria does have a lot of discounting cards, so maybe that's not super relevant. But you can increasing the cost of stuff like their Wormist or Hannah will definitely help. So here they pop down the Mysterian Tome and couldn't clear this, so they conceded. So let's move on to the next game. So next game we have of course Last Word Shadow. We're going second again. I don't think this deck has that much variance between going first and second. You're just trying to ramp as fast as possible, right? Oh, we have animated Cerberus slates, which is pretty nice there. But yeah, of course, we're just looking for ramp. From this point onwards is when you start seeing the Mermaid Commander. So that's for Shadow, pretty scary early game. I mean, it's pretty scary when they can start spamming out Alice's, deal a lot of damage, while Instant Death is also very adept at dealing with our big boards. We of course do have tools to deal with them, but it's a pretty scary deck to deal with, especially if you don't ramp fast enough. Here I think I'm doing okay on the ramp though, so it's not too bad. I accelerated Drazael there. You always have to be careful accelerating Drazael against Shadow, because in general you have to be careful about accelerating your Drazael, because in some matchups you really need the main body. In the case of Last Words, the main body is quite valuable against Last Words because Instant Deck can't destroy Drazael. So here you see me taking an intentionally inefficient trade here. This is on purpose. It is so that I minimize trade targets for them to trade their Last Words bodies into, to hopefully stall them as much as possible. You can see here if I traded the other way, they would have been able to run both angels into my Irma here, but because I traded in more inefficiently, they are stuck with one angel on the board, which means that I can now take this opportunity to play the Mermaid Commander and sort of stall them out a bit. It fills up their board, and then if they want to empty their board, they have to start trading. You can look at their Last Words, they're not doing very well right now. They're only at 6 Last Words destroyed. With these, they can reach 8. So at this point, we can probably expect Alice to start coming down next turn. So yeah, just play with that. My other accelerated called Crusher here, but I don't have enough shadows. So the Dragon Shrine here is a very nice pick. I mean, this is a weird thing I like to do against Last Word. I don't know if it's correct here, but when against Last Word, I like to pick Scaled Stampede because they like to do things where they set up their amulets for a later turn, and then you can just sort of pop them early, and it's pretty funny. In this case, not really. Can't really do that now, so we're just gonna pop down the Celestial Godworm. Discount our hand. You don't always want to play Godworm, but in this case we had things worth discounting, like the Degenerate Dragon here is a pretty solid card to discount. Tarrasque is worth discounting. So we're okay with popping down the Godworm here. Ideally you want to have more 7-cost followers in your hand to discount, but in this case I think it's fine. So here I pop their I go ahead and pop their Colonel early because I don't want them to be able to storm me in the face with them. Draw some pretty sick cards here. I actually misplayed here, I believe. I played both Drazaels. I should probably save the second Drazael because it's not impossible for them to be able to clear all of these Drazaels and then I'm out of survival options. Yeah, a bit of a risky play here. I wouldn't really do this again, but with Godworm, Tarrasque, we're at 2 Relic Dragons in hand. The chances of me being able to find a lethal next turn are pretty high, I think. Maybe not the Godworm doesn't actually do that much. Okay, the Instant Death here can't destroy my Drazael, so that's fine. And they managed to multiply their Alices here, which is pretty unfortunate for me. And then they have the 2-fold Grace here, and then they, I believe, have one more neutral card. Yep, so out comes both Alices. Fortunately for me, thanks to the double Drazaels, I'm able to block a metric shit ton of face damage that was coming my way. So I pass here. Here I will realize their board is pretty shit and their hand is minimal, so I decided to attempt the board lock here by popping their Colonel here and then destroy my own Godworm to prevent them from trading. So I hope that this would minimize the amount of board space they have to work with, even with 2 Alices and the Instant Death here. They shouldn't be able to unless they have some unless they have like 5 million copies of Night Terrors in their hand, which I believe they don't. So here they went for Night. Here I managed to survive, and then because I played the Godworm last turn, I now have lethal with 2 Relic Dragons into Tarrasque. But then here I super high roll and draw the Lowly Dragon for 0. I decided to not. I believe I didn't play it just because I I wanted to prove to my opponent that I didn't need the high roll, but I mean, like, honestly, I don't think my opponent cares. But yeah, pretty fun deck here. You just play a big stuff. Need to understand your opponent's deck to know what you should play around next game. Our last game will be against Dragon, and we are going first here. Dragon has 2 decks that they play right now, so we're not sure which one it is. It could be the same kind that I'm playing, or it could be buff. Both are reasonably popular for Dragon decks. So yeah, we're just gonna do our usual. We just ramp. Oh, so here we know it's buff Dragon. If it was a big dragon, or if it was 7-up Dragon like us, then we would know that it would just be a ramp race. But in this case, since it is buff, we don't really. We just I mean we follow the same game plan, but we need to know how to play against buff, I guess. I'm picking the Gust here. I'm honestly not sure Gust is the correct one to be picking, because buff Dragon's followers have so much HP that maybe it's better to just pick the Stampede and destroy one follower instead of trying to go for the AoE here, because their followers are so high the AoE probably won't do enough to clear them. And you'll see that I am being punished for not picking the Stampede here with their Kyrie. I honestly should have just not picked the Stampede. The Mermaid is fine, it's not that much damage. It's not a thing about buff Dragon, right? A lot of their followers don't actually do that much damage, which is another reason why the Stampede is maybe more worth picking. At least pick one of each, I think. So the Mighty Gust here gets rid of the Blooming Dancer, which I guess is not that bad. It reduces my damage, incoming damage by quite a bit. And as you can see, they are just going through their deck. That thing, unfortunately, does evolve, and I'm just taking a shit ton of damage here. But I am at 10 TP, so it's time for me to come back, I guess. Here the board does get cleared by Worm God into the Mighty Gust, so I just go for that. Accept the Dormant Dragon here, evolve. At 6 PP, you're not super scared of some kind of Joe lethal yet, unless they super high roll with the Striker into Joe, but that's like super not very likely, considering they did just play a Striker the previous turn. So my hope is that they don't have Joe here to kill me off, so I can take this turn to play Godworm, and I can stabilize next turn with massive board. So we set with the what is this card called? I don't actually know what it's called. Let me check. It's a Dormant Dragon. With Dormant Dragon up on the board, we can heal a lot this turn. And with a Degenerate Dragon discounted, we can of course set up a ton of followers. Yeah, I went for the Mega Lorca here, hoping to fill up their board, and then the Celestial Golem here will heal me to full while discounting. I'm okay discounting my hand here since we have a lot of damage payoffs now in our hand. Well, not a lot, we have Tarask, right? And we have another god. Being able to chain Celestial Worm Gods is always very nice. Generally, if you have a Celestial Worm God on your hand already, it's pretty safe to discount it with the Worm God, because you can always discount it. They pull out the honestly, I forgot this card existed. I didn't think they were running them. When I was adjusting my board with the evils and stuff, I was playing around Drazael. I forgot this card existed, but fortunately my followers cannot survive -12/-12, so I lose my entire board here. But we have another Degenerate Dragon, so it's fine. We're just gonna heal up. All the glitters here. We draw very nice cards here. With Relic Dragon in hand and a bunch of damage payoffs, I think I'm ready to start aiming for lethal, so I put out the Worm God, discount my Tarask, discount my Relic Dragon. This sets up lethal next turn. I have 20 damage with 2 Tarask and a Relic Dragon. It just depends on what they have for their board here, so Coral Spirit is not the most exciting thing to play. We might have to look at something like Voracious Venom on next turn instead to sort of deal with these Coral Spirits while preventing them from killing us next turn. So the trader here, so because of that, well, not because of that trade, because they had the trade there, I guess. It's a mod card way to say it. I successfully have lethal here, but since I drew the lowly dragon, it's faster to just play lowly dragon than having to trade the 2 Tarrasques in my hand. So Tarrasque here, and then I just play the last Tarrasque just to, I don't know, flex on my opponent, I guess. My high roll is better than yours or some shit. Anyway, that's it for this game, and yeah, it's the last game for this video. So that is it for this deck, the games I have for you today. 7-Up Dragon, I will call it 7-Up Dragon. I don't care if most people call it Big Dragon or Ramp Dragon. I will make this name a thing if it's the last thing I do. Pretty fun deck, pretty easy to pilot. You just need to watch out for how you maneuver your late game followers, especially when you're deleting most of your... Well, you're not really deleting that much of your deck since it's all the RAM cards you don't really need in the late game. Yeah, just keep in mind how you use your late game tools. Keep in mind that your damage is limited for decks that have a lot of board clear ability. Just shitting out big boards won't be enough to win, so you need to plan out your damage as well. But still pretty easy deck to play. I would say it's good for beginners, but unfortunately this deck is stupidly expensive, so maybe not the best deck for beginners either, but I mean, it's a fun deck. If you like playing big followers, if you like Dragon, I definitely recommend this deck to try it out at least. It's especially if you're sick of playing Buff Dragon, because honestly I'm pretty sick of playing against Buff Dragon. So yeah, I would recommend this deck. It's pretty fun. It's honestly not that bad either. I win like a decent amount of games with this deck. Definitely higher than 50% win rate for me. So yeah, quite recommended. That's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.